Welcome to English Podcasts with Chris
and Sue.
Hello listeners,
everyone, and
welcome
back to English Podcasts. I'm Chris, your co-host, and today we're diving into the fascinating world of English conditionals.
And I'm Sue. I'm super excited today to explore super conditionals with you all. So we'll break down the different types of conditionals, give you plenty of examples, and even have some fun with questions to challenge your understanding at the end.
That's right, Sue. Conditionals are a crucial part of English grammar, and they help us talk about possibilities, hypotheses, and outcomes. Let's kick things off with the basics. There are four main types of conditionals: zero, the first conditional, the second conditional, and the third conditional. Ready to dive in? Stick around until the end of this podcast for a quiz where you can test your knowledge of conditionals.
Absolutely. So let's start with the zero conditional. This is the one that's used for general truths or scientific facts. So the simple structure is if plus present simple and the present simple. Let me give you an example. So if you heat water to 100 degrees Celsius, it boils.
Perfect example, Sue. Zero conditional. It's all about things that are always true. So, for example, if you heat ice or you leave ice in the sun, it melts. Now let's move on to the first conditional. This is used for real and possible situations in the future. The structure is if plus present simple, will plus the base verb, so the infinitive. Like, if it rains tomorrow, we'll cancel the picnic.
Got it. So the first conditional is for things that might actually happen. Now, the second conditional is a little bit different, and it's used for unreal or hypothetical situations in the present or the future. The structure is if plus the past simple, would plus the base verb. Let me give you an example. If I won the lottery, I would travel the world.
Yeah, and just to say, the two clauses can be reversed. So we could say, if I won the lotto, I would travel the world. So it doesn't matter in which sequence they go. And that's exactly right, Sue. The second conditional helps us talk about dreams and unlikely scenarios. Lastly, we have the third conditional. And this one is used for hypothetical situations in the past, things that didn't actually happen. And the structure is if plus perfect, would have plus past participle. So the third form of the verb. An example would be, if I had studied harder, I would have passed my exam and I wouldn't be podcasting today. I'd be doing something much more enriching and, I'd be rich.
Perfectly explained, Chris. Perfect. Anyway, the third conditional is great for reflecting on past events. Now, to make things fun, we've prepared some challenging questions, haven't we, Chris? So are you ready?
Bring it on, Sue.
All right, here we go. So here's the first one. So, if you were a superhero, what powers would you have and what would you do with them? Now, that would be the second conditional.
Okay. If I were a superhero, I'd have the power to fly. No more Ryanair. And I would use it to travel the world and help people in need. What about you, Sue?
Well, if I were a superhero, I would have the power of healing and I would use it to cure illnesses around the world. Okay, next question, Chris. So, if you could meet any historical figure, who would it be and why? That's the second conditional.
Okay. So if I could meet any historical figure, maybe it doesn't count as a historical figure, but it's someone from sort of recent history, if you like, it would be David Bowie. I would meet David Bowie because I would love to discuss his music and ideas. What about you, Sue?
Well, if I could meet any historical figure, I would meet Nelson Mandela because I admire his contribution to peace in South Africa. And he was a great role model for everybody in the world. So now let's switch back to the first conditional. So if it's sunny this weekend, what will you do?
Well, if it's sunny this weekend, I will go hiking in the Pyrenees. What will you do, Sue?
Well, if it's sunny this weekend, I will have a barbecue with my friends. So, how about a third conditional question? Here we go. If I had known about the pandemic beforehand, what would you have done differently?
Okay, so if you'd known about the pandemic beforehand, what would you have done differently? Well, if I'd known about the pandemic beforehand, I would have stocked up on essential supplies like coffee and rice pudding and things like that. And I would have set up a home office earlier. How about you?
Well, if I had known about the pandemic earlier, beforehand, I would have taken the opportunity to travel before the restrictions hit in. Last one, a tricky zero conditional. What happens if you mix baking soda and vinegar?
If you mix baking soda and vinegar, it creates a chemical reaction that produces carbon dioxide gas. It's a fun little explosion.
Yeah, nice, nice. So there you have it, folks. A quick tour through the world of conditionals.
We hope you enjoyed our discussion and feel more confident using conditionals in your conversations. Remember to practice and have fun with it.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. So until next time, keep practicing and stay curious.
Bye for now.
Goodbye, but please hang around for the quiz.
Yeah, because we're wrapping up today with a fun and challenging oral quiz on conditionals. Are you ready to put your knowledge to the test? We've got a variety of question formats to keep things interesting. The ones where we ask you for example sentences, put them in the comments below and we'll correct them. And Sue will remind you of that as well.
Good. So here we go with the first set of questions. So the task is find the correct form of the verb.
If the presentation be a success, the team will get a bonus.
Number 2. What will happen if the technology fail during the presentation?
If our client approve the proposal, we will start the project next month. Approves, approved, approve.
Number 4. What would you do if you negative feedback on your report? A. Receives. B. Received. C. Receiving.
If you have the chance to meet a famous entrepreneur, who would it be? A. Had. B. Have. C. Having.
So now let's do a little bit differently. Fill in the gaps when you hear them.
So, if we complete the project ahead of schedule, we might get a commendation.
Next one. If the team work overtime, they would finish the task by the deadline.
If you not miss the meeting yesterday, you would know about the new policy.
So here's another one. It's a little bit different. Find the mistakes and correct them.
If we would have known about the issue earlier, we could fix it sooner.
Next one. If he were more diligent, he would have complete the task on time.
Next one. If they finishes the survey, we can analyze the results. Next one. If the marketing strategy is better last year, we would be leading the market now.
If I knows about the merger earlier, I would have prepared a different presentation.
If our team will have more resources, we would have been more competitive this quarter.
So now let's get really creative with your answers. So write your sentences in the comments below and we will correct them for you.
Okay, here we go then. Create a first conditional sentence about what you will do if you receive a new project assignment.
And my question is based on a second conditional. So, what would you do if you were the head of a new department?
And the next one, a third conditional sentence reflecting on what could have been different if you had taken a different career path. Time for some advanced questions.
Okay, here we go. So, fill in the gap with the correct form of the verb. So, if the company implement the new policy last quarter, we might have seen a significant increase in productivity.
Next one, if our competitors launch their product earlier, it could have impacted our market share.
Next one. If the market trends more accurately, our investment decisions would have been different.
And that wraps up our quiz. How did you do? Well, I hope.
Well, I'm sure our listeners did. Anyway, let's go through the answers so that you can check your work.
Okay, so question 1, you should have is.
Question 2, fails.
Question 3 is answer A, approves.
Question 4 is answer B, received.
Question 5, answer A, had.
Question 6, the answer is completed.
Question 7, worked.
Question 8, had not missed.
Question 9 is, if we had known about the issues earlier, we could have fixed it sooner.
And question 10, if he were more diligent, he would have completed the task on time.
And answer to question 11 is, if they finish the survey, we can analyse the results.
Question 12, had been.
Question 13, had known.
Question 14, had.
So this is an example answer. You could have had different answers, I know, but if I receive a new project assignment, I will prioritise it on my schedule.
And equally for question 16, several possibilities, but here's one you could have. If I were the head of a new department, I would focus on improving team collaboration.
An example answer for number 17, if I had taken a different career path, I might have worked in a completely different industry and not be podcasting today.
But you are, Chris. Anyway, number 18, had implemented.
Number 19, had launched.
And finally, number 20, had predicted.
Thanks for tuning in to Mastering English Conditionals. We hope you're much more at ease and confident with them. And we hope you enjoyed the quiz and learnt something new.
Yes, so keep practicing and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.